It's time.
K-pop Demon Hunters. This is a movie that I saw recently on the same weekend that I saw the new Demon Slayer movie. And it got me thinking, what about crossovers? How would Huntrix do in the Demon Slayer core, etc., etc.? But what I realized is that they don't really explain a whole lot of detail on how exactly the magic system works in K-pop Demon Hunters. What exactly is the magic that Huntrix is using to fight demons? What are these demons? So that's what we're diving into today. We're going to break down what the movie gives us and then go a little bit more in depth looking at folklore and inspiration that the writer and director had to determine what exactly Huntrix is capable of. So let's dive in. At the base level of all the magic in K-pop Demon Hunters, which I will now refer to as KDH, which is actually what Korean people call it in their language, because I guess K-pop Demon Hunters in their language feels longer than it does in ours, so they just call it KDH. So that's what I'm gonna call it, KDH. So the basis of everything in KDH is souls.
Oh, souls incoming!
On the demon side, it's souls, and on the hunter side, it's souls. They are just going about it a little bit differently. They have a different relationship with these souls, but in either case, souls are like a battery. The more souls you have, the more power you have, and the more power output you can put towards your fight. So let's just talk about each side on a basic level, and then we can get into the more difficult questions, like whether Jinu is coming back in the second movie, like what would happen if Rumi were to have been attacked by Mira and Zoe, etc., etc. So basics on the demon side. Demons steal souls.
The passengers!
And when I say demons, I'm actually talking about Gwima. So Gwima is like the demon king. And what's kind of interesting is his name, Gwima, is the reverse of a Korean word called Magwi. And what Magwi means is demon. So we'll get a little bit more into that in a second. But what Gwima is just this big king that collects souls and uses those souls for his power to do what he does. It's really that simple. Again, souls are the battery. So he's stealing souls and using them. What he's using them for is essentially authority and power over the demon realm. Classic, right? What this means for demons is that they are either two things. They are simply just a creation of Gwima. Like, some demons were never people. They are just minions created by Gwima.
Hey, this is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here.
And then there's the human demons.
It's time for a new strategy.
A demon boy band?
Which just means they were people, but Gwima has taken their soul, and now they are a soulless vessel that is bound to Gwima.
Oh yeah, totally gonna work.
Totally
100%.
Think of your soul like the keys to your car. When Gwima takes your soul, he's taking your keys, and you still exist. The car is still there, but he's the one that drives it. No, you don't anymore. So that's kind of what we're dealing with on the demon side. And of course, they can do things like teleport. They have super strength, super speed. On the hunter side, they are also using souls. But instead of taking a soul and just literally using it, because they're good guys, they don't want to do that, they are connecting with souls. They're kind of like plugging themselves in to this soul network and being powered that way. So I guess instead of a battery, it's more like an outlet that they're plugging into. And the way they do that is they use the power of their music, just sheer beauty and empowerment of their song to touch the souls of their fans.
Bring him in. Hey, single file, no pushing.
And when they touch the souls, they connect to the souls, and it creates what's called
The Golden Hunmoon.
And so the Hunmoon is kind of like the good version of Gwima. It's what's created from that soul energy. Gwima consolidates the souls and becomes, the leader of the demons. When hunters connect the souls of people they're creating the Hunmoon, and that is where now they are drawing their power from. So we can literally see in the first scene of the movie, the Huntrix literally grabbing the Hunmoon that they created on the plane, which is like a spiritual barrier, and using it to create their weapons. So recap, Gwima steals souls and then consolidates that power and gives it to whatever he wants to give it to for his own means. Hunters connect to souls. When the Hunmoon is created as that connection, they can then draw upon it to create their weapons. So souls are the basis of everything. So now we can talk about what specifically a Huntrix can do with that magic from the Hunmoon. And it's pretty simple. They can make any weapon that they want. So typically we see them choosing a weapon that fits their style. You might say it even is like spiritual weapon that is connected to their soul, but really they can make anything. So we see Rumi make her sword most of the time, but she also made the classic energy shield, like the big bubble shield that lots of magic systems make to defend themselves. She even used the energy of the Hunmoon and put it into just a sheer blast, like she just sang at demons, and the force of her words destroyed them. So they can make really anything. Why they aren't choosing to make like a Gatling gun? There's probably a couple reasons. One, all of this magic is ritual based. It's going back to the early Korean folklore, and these weapons are linked to that, of course. The movie's also for kids, so guns are not exactly the best thing to put in there, but hypothetically they could. So one of the first hunters used a bow and arrow. So like range weapons are clearly possible. It's really whatever the hunter wants to make. All right, let's jump back to demons though. What are demons? And this is a question I'm asking because they aren't what we think they are. A lot of what K-pop Demon Hunters gives us is really helpful in determining what is happening, but KDH demons are actually a little bit counterintuitive. They're actually distracting us from what's really happening. Turn around. So let me explain. KDH demons are not demons. They are more like spirits. In the Korean folklore, there is a word for demon. It's magwi, which we've already talked about. But that word doesn't actually mean what we have it mean in our like American sort of language. So what demon means in that sense, it's really just an umbrella term for unsavory creatures or entities that you just wouldn't really want to be around. And there's two main types. There's things that are like mischievous goblins, if I'm gonna put it in our terms, and then there's things that are like malevolent spirits. So you kind of have ghosts and goblins, but not evil goblins, just kind of like, you know, prankster goblins. And you can see this represented in the demons of KDH pretty well, both of them. You can see them have like mischievous, kind of more harmless sides to them, but then you can also see them literally hurting people, right? And for our purposes, it's actually best to think about KDH demons as spirits. And that's going to be important because once we start talking about what Huntrix does to fight them, we're going to be talking on a spiritual level. This isn't a demonic monster that fights with fire and sheer force. They are a representation of negative emotions and that sort of thing that is going up against the positive emotions of Huntrix. So let's talk a little bit more about what demons are so that we can determine what Huntrix does to them. Like I had mentioned, demons are soulless bodies. When Huntrix is slashing at one of them, what they're essentially doing is destroying that vessel, but not any souls. They're not destroying the soul, they're destroying the vessel. You might even say they're destroying the link between that body and Gwima's power. Because that body is being powered by Gwima, or in the very least, not being powered by a soul. And in Korean folklore, a lot of the rituals, which are called mudang, not to be mistaken with mudang, which is of course the most powerful demon to walk the earth, but mudang was a lot of times a ritual to cast away spirits that were deemed as incomplete lives. Spirits were bad in Korean folklore, partially because they weren't complete. They were only small parts of a person, and many times they were bad parts of that person. So you might imagine a person moving to the afterlife, but their grief and shame remaining. But it's only that part of them, and that's not a good part. And that's exactly what we see in KDH. We see these demons that are just constantly feeling grief and shame because that's their existence now. They're not a full person anymore. Gwima has taken all the good parts of them and has left them only with parts that we don't want to be around. Now, these demons still hang on to existence, right? That's what makes them scared to get hit by Huntrix. It's not that they're scared of dying or their soul dying. It's that they exist right now in a bad state, but they still exist and they're clinging to that because that's all they have left. It's not a great existence, of course, but at least it's an existence. Because they harm people, Huntrix has no choice but to stop them, but in the end, it's kind of sad, right? I mean, Jinu is an example of a demon that redeems himself, which we'll talk about later, which can be done. But in the end, what Huntrix is doing is they're doing what Mudong have always done back in Korean folklore. They are attempting to banish or cast away this piece of a person and hopefully reunite it with its eternal self. That is what Huntrix does. They don't fight with lightsabers, even though it looks like it. They don't fight with radiant sunlight damage. They are simply performing a ritual that is casting away a spirit. And the weapons are just the symbol of that ritual. So I hope that makes sense. We're not going to get too far into this, but I am going to make a video about what it looks like if they interact with Demon Slayer demons.
Yeah!
And right out of the bat, you might be able to tell that they are going to interact with Demon Slayer demons way different than how a Hashira would, or someone that's fighting with like real physical weapons. Let's try to answer some tough questions that I know people have about the movie and about the whole world in general of KDH. First off, a big question is, where do demon souls go when they get slashed and killed? Well, this one should be pretty easy to answer now that we've dissected it. They don't go anywhere. When Mira, Rumi, Zoe slash at one of the demons and they disintegrate, that was just a soulless vessel. So the soul of that person doesn't change at all. If it's with Gwima, it's still with Gwima. If it's somewhere else, it's still there. And this is actually proven because what we saw was Jinu giving his soul to Rumi. And after Jinu died, Rumi still had Jinu's power. Her sword was still big. She still had that boost of energy that would only have been given by Jinu's soul. If Jinu died and therefore his soul died, or his soul passed on or moved, then she would have lost that power. So Jinu's soul is with Rumi still, and that proves that when demons get slashed or killed, at least their body,
You're just my type. Oh well.
their soul remains exactly where it was before. So that answers that question pretty easily. One question that comes up in relation to the scene where Rumi is confronted by Mira and Zoe due to her markings, her patterns.
I can still fix it.
In this scene, Mira and Zoe raise their weapons at Rumi, almost to say like, we have to cut you down now, right? You're the enemy. And really where the power lies in this scene is the symbolism of what they're saying. They're saying, I'm confused, but you're the enemy. We don't trust you anymore. And that obviously is a shattering to the status quo. But what would happen if they did actually attack Rumi? If Rumi pulled her sword, Mira and Zoe, pulled their polearm and daggers and fought Star Wars style, Jedi, Sith style? Well, likely nothing would happen, in my opinion. We don't know for sure, but essentially what the ritual is doing is casting away soulless or incomplete lives. Rumi, Mira, and Zoe all have complete soul-based existences, right? There's nothing the ritual would do to them. So what would likely happen is they would go to cut each other and nothing would happen to each other. Maybe there is some sort of, hardened light component, some physical component to their weapons that could be used, but their souls, their essence wouldn't be affected like it would to a demon. With that said, though, I did want to give a little bit of evidence for that because most of it's speculation on my part, but this isn't the best evidence, but if you look at the fight between Rumi and Jinu, Rumi is holding her sword like this, and Jinu is defending himself. And the way it's shown is Rumi has her hand on the hilt, but then her left hand is on the blade. So she is literally making contact with this spiritual weapon that is made to essentially cast away demons on contact. Yet she is not being cast away. So that would show that the mere touching of a blade, at least for the user, does not affect them. This could support what I was saying about how Rumi would be unaffected by the weapons of Huntrix. And then what's also interesting is Jinu has his hand over Rumi's. So Jinu is not touching the blade. And that's interesting because that shows that if he was touching the blade, possibly he would get banished. So he's clearly avoiding touching it. They put that detail in there for a reason, I'm sure. So all of this is to say that the weapon is spiritual in nature. It doesn't really need to cut. It just needs to touch. Yet it doesn't banish Rumi when she touches it. So that is just more evidence to show that I think it's only incomplete lives. It's soulless lives that this ritual works on. So would Rumi have been banished? My answer, I don't think so. No. So that answers that question. Another big question is how exactly was Rumi conceived, right? We have this demon, which is really a spirit, and somehow Rumi's mom, had some fun with this entity and Rumi was born. How is that possible? Well, this is my answer based off of what we're given from KDH. Jinu was a redeemed demon. You may already know where I'm going with this. He earned his soul back, right? He was complete again, which again is the whole purpose of the Mudong rituals. And when he became complete, he is likely someone that is no longer a spirit, but more a complete person, but he still was a demon. So that it seems to work like when you are a demon or you become a demon, you do become intrinsically tied now to Gwima's power, but as long as you get your soul back, aka the keys to your car, you can drive again and you can be a complete person again, even though you're tied to that demonic power. So my guess is that Rumi's father was just like Jinu. He was a redeemed demon and then obviously got with her mom and had her. That's my guess on how she was conceived. Big question. This one isn't really answerable, but it's can Jinu return? I mean, the answer, can he return? Obviously, yes. But will he? We need to look at what the relationship with souls are in this movie. So his soul, like I had mentioned, transferred to Rumi and it didn't go anywhere, even though his body left. What makes this question really hard to answer is that we actually have no evidence that Gwima can recreate the body of a demon that has fallen. There was a big misconception on my part that the airplane stewardess demon was slashed by Huntrix and then reappeared in the demon realm. But if you watch it closely, that stewardess demon actually never gets slashed. The scene where the front of the plane breaks off and the demon laughs and they fly away, we never see the demon again after that. So that is that demon escaping. And that's the reason that that's the only demon we find in the demon realm, because when a body is slashed, we see no evidence that it comes back. So that's not great news for Jinu, at least in the form we saw him in the first place. But the fact that his spirit is for sure still with Rumi does open the possibility of Jinu in some way being connected with Rumi. And I would venture to guess that he's just gonna be with Rumi, kind of like symbiote or something, like a Venom situation.
I'm putting my hands up.
You are making us look bad.
No, I am not.
And he's gonna guide her, and maybe the whole movie will be about reestablishing him. But to be honest, that would be kind of unsatisfying because he lived a whole life 400 years ago. He made his mistakes, and although he redeemed himself, he still paid the consequences of those mistakes. And while everyone does deserve a second chance, if he can truly redeem himself and come back into human form, that would be a very slippery slope on like what it means to be alive, you know, and what the meaning of life really is, if it is just something you can restart. However, reincarnation is totally a different style of religion there, so that could play in. But anyway, that's really all the things I wanted to talk about regarding K-pop Demon Hunters. If you guys have any questions for me that I didn't answer, I didn't touch on, using what we know now, we can probably answer it pretty well. So go ahead and drop a comment and I'll give you my answer. I'll probably be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters in the future because even though it's a movie made for little girls, my God, it's a good movie. It is so good and the music is really good. So that's all for right now. Thanks for listening and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Peace.